History remembers the headlines. We find the bylines. This is the unsung. The integration of Major League Baseball is remembered as a triumph of courage and talent. Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in 1947. It's a story etched into the American consciousness, a powerful symbol of progress. But while Robinson was making history in Brooklyn, another barrier was being quietly challenged in the Negro Leagues. Not just a racial barrier, but a gender barrier. In 1953, a 5'3" woman from South Carolina took the mound for the Indianapolis Clowns. Her name was Mamie Johnson, and she didn't just play, she dominated. She threw pitches that buckled the knees of seasoned male athletes. Yet today, her name is absent from most baseball histories. So how was a woman who struck out professional male athletes written out of the story? Mamie Johnson was born in 1935 in Ridgeway, South Carolina, a small town where opportunities were scarce, especially for a young black girl with a dream. But Mamie didn't see barriers. She saw a game she loved. She learned baseball the old-fashioned way, playing with the boys in dusty fields, using a rock wrapped in tape as a ball and a tree branch as a bat. Her uncle, a former semi-pro player, saw her raw talent and taught her the fundamentals of pitching. He showed her how to grip the ball, how to snap her wrist, and how to throw with a power that defied her small frame. By her teens, she was already playing in men's semi-pro games, her talent undeniable. She dreamed of playing in the big leagues. In 1952, she saw a path, or so she thought. She traveled all the way to Alexandria, Virginia, to try out for the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, the very league immortalized in the film A League of Their Own. She was skilled, she was determined, but she was also black. The league that prided itself on giving women a chance to play professionally turned her away because of her race. It was a heartbreaking rejection, a stark reminder that even in a league for women, some women were not welcome. But Mamie Johnson was not one to be deterred. Defiance was in her blood. She heard that the Indianapolis Clowns, a famous team in the Negro Leagues, were holding tryouts. This was a league born of segregation, but it was also a place of incredible talent, home to legends like Satchel Paige and Hank Aaron. Showing up to a men's professional team tryout as a woman was an audacious act. You can just imagine the scene. The heat of the day, the smell of freshly cut grass, the chatter of veteran players sizing up the new prospects. And then, in walks Mamie. The skepticism was immediate and palpable. Whispers, smirks, outright laughter. The manager, B.S. Pollock, was known for his showmanship, but this seemed like a step too far even for him. He handed her a ball, almost as a joke. "Let's see what you've got," he probably said, not expecting much. Mamie walked to the mound, took a deep breath, and unleashed a fastball that cracked into the catcher's mitt with a sound that silenced the entire field. Then another, and another. Fastballs, curveballs, each pitch delivered with a confidence that erased all doubt. The scouts, initially dismissive, were left speechless. She wasn't a novelty. She was a pitcher. She was signed on the spot. Mamie Johnson's pivotal contribution wasn't just that she played, it was how she played. She wasn't a gimmick. She was a force. In her three-season career from 1953 to 1955, she compiled an impressive record of 33 wins and only 8 losses. Her pitching arsenal was formidable. She had a sharp fastball and a deceptive curveball that she learned from the great Satchel Paige himself. She once said, "They'd get mad when I struck them out, but I loved it." And she struck out a lot of them. Big, strong men who came to the plate expecting an easy hit off the little girl often walked back to the dugout shaking their heads. And she wasn't just a pitcher. When she wasn't on the mound, she played second base or the outfield, showcasing her versatility and deep understanding of the game. At the plate, she held her own, finishing her career with a batting average around 262, a respectable number for any player, let alone a pitcher who faced the dual pressures of race and gender every single game. Her most famous moment came in a tense game against the Kansas City Monarchs. A batter stepped up to the plate and started shouting insults, trying to rattle her. He yelled that she didn't belong, that she should be at home in the kitchen. The taunts filled the stadium. Mamie just stared back, her focus unwavering. She wound up and threw a fastball for strike one. The batter swung and missed. Another pitch, another swing and miss for strike two. For the third pitch, she delivered her signature curveball. The batter froze, watching helplessly as the umpire yelled, "Strike three." The crowd, which had been holding its breath, exploded. Her teammates poured out of the dugout, celebrating not just the strikeout, but the victory over prejudice it represented. Watching from the stands that day was the legendary Satchel Paige. He was so impressed by her talent and tenacity that he gave her a nickname that would stick for life, Peanut, because she was so small but packed such a powerful punch. His endorsement wasn't just a compliment. It was a seal of approval from baseball royalty, a sign that she truly belonged. So why isn't Mamie Peanut Johnson a household name? Why isn't her story told alongside Jackie Robinson's? The erasure happened in layers, a slow and systemic burial of her legacy. First, the very ground she stood on disappeared. As MLB teams began to integrate, they cherry-picked the top stars from the Negro Leagues. This talent drain, combined with fans following their heroes to the majors, led to the gradual collapse of the leagues themselves. By the late 1950s, the Negro Leagues were fading into history, and with them, the official records, stats, and stories of countless brilliant players, especially those who, like Mamie, didn't transition to the majors. Second, the powerful narrative of baseball as a man's game worked against her. Even within the Negro Leagues, the presence of women players like Johnson and her teammates Tony Stone and Connie Morgan was often treated as a gate attraction, a novelty to sell tickets rather than a legitimate athletic achievement. History, written by men about men, simply had no framework to properly contextualize or celebrate a woman who could compete at that level. Third, there was a profound lack of media documentation. While Jackie Robinson's every move was chronicled by the mainstream white press, Mamie Johnson's games were rarely covered. Black newspapers were supportive and reported on her achievements, but their circulation and resources were limited. When Mamie retired from baseball in 1955 to raise her son and pursue a 30-year career as a nurse, her athletic story wasn't preserved in the archives of mainstream sports history. It simply vanished from public view. It wasn't until the 1990s, with the founding of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, and a renewed interest from historians and scholars, that her story began to resurface. Decades after she threw her last professional pitch, the world started to learn about the woman who broke baseball's other barrier. Finally, in 2008, Major League Baseball held a ceremonial draft of surviving Negro Leagues players, and Mamie Johnson was selected by the Washington Nationals, a symbolic act of recognition for a career that had been overlooked for far too long. Mamie Johnson's legacy is twofold. First, she was a true pioneer, a woman who broke barriers in a sport that told her she didn't belong twice over, once for her race and once for her gender. She refused to accept no for an answer and proved, on the biggest stage available to her, that talent has no gender. But her story is also a powerful case study in how history gets filtered and who gets to be remembered. We celebrate the first black man in Major League Baseball, as we should, but we largely forgot the woman who pitched professionally against men and won. Correcting that record isn't just about giving one person their due credit. It's about reshaping our entire understanding of who was there, what was possible, and whose stories are worthy of being told. It reminds us that history is full of unsung heroes waiting in the bylines. Who are other women athletes whose stories have been overlooked? Share them in the comments below. And for more stories like this, subscribe to the Unsung.